Welcome in, everybody. Take two. A little mic problem, but we got that fixed. Today, welcome in. We are doing the AL East breakdown. We are looking at each AL East team, taking a look at the outlook, taking a look at the 5 needs that each team needs to go and address, the players that they need to address. Now, this is not my prediction that these are the players that they're going to get. They're not going to get all 5, but we are going to be taking a look at the areas of need, the players that would fit the need best, the player that would improve the team the most. So we are going to dive into all that again. This is not a prediction that they get that player. This is just who I think they need to be pursuing, that they need to be targeting and would be good for them to get. You'll see players pop up on multiple teams. So we're going to do that for the AL East today. Orioles, Rays, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Yankees. We're going to cover them all. And later this week, keep an eye out because Wednesday's live stream will be the same thing for the Central. Thursday's live stream will be the same thing for the AL West. Next week, we'll do the National League. Now, the Thursday stream, it's really important. Ballcat Nation, I want you to be there for Thursday because we're also going to be doing the giveaways. We are going to be giving away a holiday Christmas gift every 5 minutes. Over my shoulder, you can see some baseball cards. We're giving those 3 away. That's from the Topps Project last year. It's a Jeter, it's a Griffey, it's a Koufax. And over my, well, next to this elbow, you'll see some baseball cards. We're going to be giving away, not baseball cards, autographed baseballs. We've got Frank Thomas, David Justice, and Lloyd Mosby. Blue Jays, Braves, and White Sox covered there. So I think you'll want to be there for that. And we're going to be giving away, straight up, we're going to be giving up money. We're going to have 2 $25 giveaways and 2 $50 giveaways on Thursday for you guys. It is my thank you to you for everything that you have done to help grow the channel this year. I want to give that back to you. Anybody that watches the replay of the AL West can get really annoyed. But we're going to go with it. So, let's dive into this thing. For everybody watching the replay that wants to know what's going on in the AL East, we are going to dive right into that. Again, I want to thank FanDuel for being a sponsor. We'll talk more about FanDuel in a little bit. But let's get right into the content of this thing. Let's get this thing going. Let's start with the Baltimore Orioles. In 2021, they went 52-10. It was bad. They could lose 100 games again in 2022. They would have lost 100 games in 2020. They only played 60 games, though. So we have a situation there with the Orioles where it's bad.
Giraffe Neckmark ranked Springer 7th SCF. Thought.
I'm okay with that, Raguel. I'm okay with that. I think that's fine. 7th, top 10 center fielder in all of baseball. Okay, coming off an injury. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with what Mark said there. So we have the Orioles. Here's the situation. The rotation looks like this. Means, if he's still there, because they're dangling him in a trade, then you got Zimmerman, Aiken, Lopez, and Kramer. You might be thinking, who? You might be thinking, isn't that a law firm? But that is probably most likely what the Orioles are going to throw out there in 2022. If you look at the depth chart on MLB.com, they've also got Zach Lothar. I don't know if they're going to go with Lothar. I think they go with Lopez and Kramer. So the rotation, listen, the team is owned by a bunch of lawyers, so it's not surprising that the rotation sounds like a group of lawyers. The closer is maybe Tyler Wells. Blue Jay fans, we know Tyler Wells. Jays had plenty of comebacks against Tyler Wells in the 2021 season. So I would love for Tyler Wells to be the closer. We'll see if they actually roll that out there again. Here's the lineup. They do not have a catcher, period. It is Rutschman, but I don't think they want to start the year with Rutschman there. So they are going to need a catcher. We're going to talk about that. First base, Mountcastle. Mountcastle's great. Second base, Oder and Jones. Yes, I called him Oder. I'm not a Rougned Odor fan, so we're going to call him Oder. Then you've got Mateo. Which Mateo? That is George Mateo. You've got third baseman Kelvin Gutierrez, who I actually saw last year in person a few times and might actually be an okay third baseman. And then you've got Hayes, Mullins, and Santander, and with Trey Mancini as the DH. So there's the outlook for the Orioles. Some people Springer should be up 2 or 3. I don't know. Coming off injury, listen, let him be healthy. Let him be healthy, and then we can start arguing on where he falls in the top 5. But he's got to be healthy. All right, let's take a look at the needs. What do the Orioles need? What are their 5? What's the best situation here for the Baltimore Orioles sort of moving forward. Let's get this going. For the Orioles, right off the bat, again, we talked about how they need a closer. So let's go with Luke Maile. They need a closer. They got to do something right away. It is going to be Luke Maile. And I'm seeing that the screen's going to hop around a little bit. Shouldn't be too much of a hop, but we'll do our best. So we got Luke Maile there. I like that. You give them the catcher. They will get another catcher, but we'll start there anyway. Next up, they need starting pitching. We looked at that rotation. It didn't look that great, did it? So let's get some starting pitching. Let's go Jake Arrieta. I think Jake Arrieta is a fit. They're going to need to go and get some guys that can eat some innings and then maybe can trade at the deadline. If Arrieta is having a solid season, maybe they could trade him for a prospect. Next up, they need to get a versatile, multi-positional infield guy. I think Brandon Drury fits the bill there. Not a sexy move so far at all, but they got to fill it, right? They got to fill that roster. So we go there to fill the roster. Next up, this is the first move that I think could be a good one, a tradable asset. Colin Moran from the Pirates going to the Orioles is my feeling here. Somebody like that. This is a guy that could have a good season and could turn it into a trade chip for the Orioles at the deadline. I like the idea of Colin Moran. And then we talked about the closer situation. They need somebody that can try to close. Let's go Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley might have one of the tougher times finding a closer gig. I think some teams might try to insert him as a setup guy or a seventh inning guy. Archie Bradley could have a chance to actually close with the Orioles. So I like Archie Bradley to close for Baltimore. And another trade piece. Okay, the Orioles here, those last two picks with Moran and with Bradley, those are trade chips at the deadline. The Orioles have to be thinking about that moving forward. All right, next up, let's get to the Tampa Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays. Let's do this thing. Where are we going to put, what do the Rays look like? Trying to fix the screen there. Okay, 162 last year. Shut up. Get out. Stop doing that. 162 for the Rays. The rotation, McClanahan, Yarbrough, Kluber, Patino, and Boz in the rotation. Kittredge, listen, the Rays could go a couple different ways for closing out games, and they probably will, but Kittredge was closing games last year. Looking at the situation right now, he could be the closer moving forward, at least get the lion's share of the closing opportunities. So you have Kittredge, though that rotation, that bullpen might work better if Kittredge was coming in the 7th or 8th, but we'll get into that. Next, let's look at the lineup. Zunino catching, Choi, Diaz first, Lau at second, Franco at short, Diaz or Walls for third, Arozarena, Kiermaier, and Margot in the outfield, and Meadows at DH. Look, they really don't need anything, but we're going to have 5 targets here. I mean, really, look at this situation. Maybe you could say an experienced starter, but I'm high on Patino and Boz. I think those two are going to be great. The lineup, where would you add somebody? So they just add more depth if they make any additions. But let's dive into what the Rays need. Let's get into this thing. Rays needs. All right. First off, if the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Red Sox, they're all rumored to make some big splashes for some power bats. If they do, one of the things the Rays had trouble with last year was actually power home runs until they got Nelson Cruz. So I think they need to seriously think about bringing Nelson Cruz back. That would be an important move. Bring Cruz back, get that power back, and keep that going, because you could have a situation where, like last year, the power's an issue. So don't wait for it to become an issue. Bring in Cruz. Now you're going to have a full year of Wander Franco, so that will help. But you could have a Cruz situation, especially if the Rays trade Kiermaier, which has been talked about. The Rays could trade Kiermaier. Cruz back to Tampa makes sense. Same thinking with the next target, in my opinion, and that's Jock Peterson. Same feeling here, that the Rays are in a spot where they're going to need a power bat. If they don't go Cruz, they could go Jock. Another reason I think Jock here is it's probably a 1-year deal. I think Jock's okay with 1 year with an option or a 2-year deal, and he's not going to cost an insane amount of money. So he could actually be a relatively team-friendly deal. We're looking for power. We're looking for short-term deals. We're looking for not break-the-bank stuff for the Rays. So I think you could maybe have a Jock Peterson situation here. Now, the next move, we looked at the pitching. They don't need anything insane. This is a guy, Willie Peralta, who actually had a good year last year for the Tigers. A good ERA in the threes. Doesn't strike a ton of guys out. But if you're looking for versatility, a guy that could float back and forth between the rotation and the bullpen, a guy that could be the bulk guy if they're having a bullpen day, Peralta fits and checks off a lot of boxes for the Rays, and he was good last year in Detroit. I think he could be good again. I like Peralta as a way under the radar signing. I think he would be a good move there. Again, he would bolster the bullpen. You could use him in the rotation. The versatility there would be important for the Rays. Now, I mentioned earlier I thought that maybe the Rays bullpen would operate better if Kittredge wasn't closing games, if he was used in a high leverage situation earlier in the game. So who could they get to close? Again, we're looking for the financial. We're looking for deals here. Trevor Rosenthal might actually be a bargain in 2022. And the way he pitched in 2020, I think the Rays could take a chance on him. I think they could take a chance on Rosenthal, a 1 or a 2 year deal. Again, nothing crazy on the money, nothing crazy on the years. I kind of like the idea of Rosenthal for the Rays to be the closer, use everybody else all over the place like they will do, like Kevin Cash will do, and have Rosenthal as your closer. And listen, if Rosenthal doesn't work out, it really won't hurt them because they have so much in the bullpen. This is an area, this is a team that could take a chance on Trevor Rosenthal. And the final piece for the Rays, it is going to be another bullpen addition. And wouldn't this just be a nightmare for American League East teams? We are going to go Steve Shisek. Could you imagine the way the Rays like to throw out all different arm deliveries and release angles and all this other stuff? If you throw in Steve Shisek into the situation, just would be the biggest pain in any American League East team fan, not from the Rays. Shisek would actually be a nice pickup for the Rays. Again, not a lot of money, not a long deal, just all fits. Everything here for the Rays. We're talking relatively a team-friendly contract, and the Rays could improve. We looked at the team earlier that looked pretty good without any improvements. They could definitely improve. All right, let's get to Boston. I know Robbie said he was listening while he was Ubering, so Robbie, this one's for you, my man. Let's get to the Red Sox. They are next on the list. Here is the situation for Boston. We have a rotation that is looking pretty good, right? You've got Kike. I'm sorry, I'm looking at something while I'm trying to do something. I apologize, guys. So let's get into this. All right, Sale at the top, Eovaldi at number 2, Pivetta number 3, and then I think you will see the other two of the 3 additions fill out the rest of that rotation. Rich Hill and James Paxton. Certainly Michael Wacha is going to be in play. If he has a better spring over Nick Pivetta, then there you go. Basically, the 3, 4, and 5, whoever gets the 3, 4, and 5 spot in the rotation for the Red Sox, it's going to be tight, right? I mean, there's not going to be a huge difference between the 3, 4, and 5 guys, which might be trouble because you would like the 3 to be a lot better than the 5. You know, James Paxton could certainly be a 3. We got to see how healthy he is. We got to see how he pitches in spring training. But they'll fill out that rotation. The moves they made right before the CBA deadline gave them the ability to mix and match and find the best rotation. So Sale, Eovaldi, Pivetta, Hill, Paxton kind of fitting in there. And then also you've got Wacha, you've got Houck, you've got other pieces that you could see, depending on the performance of spring training, how things are going. Matt Barnes is the closer. I don't know if any Red Sox fans like that. That is the situation right now. We will address that when we talk about the needs for the Boston Red Sox because maybe they need to do something else there. I think they do. Maybe Matt Barnes is not the play, but he was the closer. I know you also have Whitlock in play here. So you got Barnes as your closer. The lineup, you got Vasquez, you got Dahlbeck, Arroyo, Kike for second, Bogarts at short, Devers at third, the outfield of Verdugo, JBJ / Jarren Duran, Kike, and your DH is JD Martinez. So certainly some room to upgrade, okay? If JBJ tanks And you don't want him taking key at bats. If Jarren Duran is unable to transition to the majors, listen, this is a Red Sox team. The goal in 2022 is going to be a championship. So if JBJ or Jarren Duran aren't cutting it, you got to move on. If Kike has a down year, Dodger fans, you know about Kike. He's a very streaky player. If he has a down year, you got a problem. So the Red Sox certainly have some moves that they could make to try to ward off any of those issues. So let's get to it. Let's look at the Red Sox needs, the players that they should be targeting. Let's start off right off from the bat. I would love this player back in Boston. I would love Kyle Schwarber back with the Red Sox. I want him at first base. You could put him in the outfield if you wanted to, depending on what you decide with Arroyo and Kike at second. You could have Schwarber in left. You could move all the pieces around Schwarber. The fact he could play left, the fact that he could be at first base, he'd probably be okay if he was at DH for a stretch if Martinez is hurt. Schwarber actually fits in nicely. I love just the makeup of him with the Red Sox. So let's make Kyle Schwarber the number one target for the Boston Red Sox. Now, if Schwarber goes somewhere else, if he leaves, if he decides to go to Philly or Colorado because he wants to try to break the home run record, then the Red Sox need, in my opinion, I don't know if you can wait around for Bobby Dahlbeck. So I think they should make Anthony Rizzo a priority. All right, I think if the Red Sox are in a spot where they could get Rizzo, and maybe it's a team-friendly contract, whatever it is, if you can get Rizzo, I would do it, especially if you could swipe him away from the Yankees. Let's run down a scenario where Freddie Freeman goes to the Dodgers and the Braves trade for Matt Olson. All of a sudden, the Yankees are going to be hot for Anthony Rizzo. But if the Red Sox have already scooped him up because Schwarber went to Philly or something, all of a sudden the Yankees are in a tough spot. So the Red Sox, Anthony Rizzo should be on their radar. Again, Bobby Dahlbeck, is he great? Is he not? It looked like it was. I was all in on Bobby Dahlbeck last year. What's up, Alicia? I was all in on Bobby Dahlbeck, and he totally let me down. So I don't know how to feel about Bobby Dahlbeck moving forward. I don't know if the Red Sox do either. So I think they need to have this in mind because, again, their goal next year is a championship. They cannot have Bobby Dahlbeck hitting 190 at first base. All right, the closer situation. That's the next piece we got to address. Is Matt Barnes going to be your closer, closing out the ninth inning of game 4, 5, 6, or 7 of the World Series? I don't know. I don't think so. So I think they should have some targets on the board. First up, Kimbrel will be available via a trade from the White Sox. They should have Craig Kimbrel on their mind. It's a one-year situation with Kimbrel. You're not locking in to a 3, 4, 5-year deal with Kimbrel. It is 1 year. It's a healthy amount of money. It's like $20 million. But it's a one-year situation. They have to address the closer there. Again, is Barnes closing out the final game in the postseason for the Red Sox? I kind of doubt it. Let's go out and get somebody that is proven. And Kimbrel, before the trade to the White Sox, was doing very well in the closer role. He needs to be in that closer role, so let's go Kimbrel as a Red Sox target. Now, if they can't trade for Kimbrel, let's say the Phillies trade for Kimbrel, still think the Red Sox, they need to know that the back of that bullpen is secure. What's the best closer that's out on the market? Why not? Why not make Kenley Jansen a target? Because, again, you need to feel confident going into the ninth inning. You would like to get somebody that has playoff experience. Kenley Jansen checks both of those boxes. Now, the drawback to Kenley Jansen is that he's going to be expensive, and it's going to be a multi-year deal. So you're marrying Kenley Jansen, and it's a 3 or 4 year deal. And, if the honeymoon period is over relatively quickly and you're frustrated with him, you're still locked in with Kenley Jansen. So that is the only drawback to Kenley. But I just don't feel confident in Matt Barnes' situation for the Red Sox. So we'll put Kenley as a target. We have the two closers. Listen, I talk about it. Sometimes the targets, it's just scratching the surface, right? If it's Kimbrel, if it's Jansen, if it's neither of those two, you move down the list to the next best closer. Red Sox are, like the Rays were a team for Trevor Rosenthal, the Red Sox are not. The Red Sox are not a team for Trevor Rosenthal. If they're getting a closer, they need to know it's going to work. Now, could they get Rosenthal? Sure. Okay, maybe they do that. Maybe they make that move. But in my mindset, the way I'm thinking about this for the Red Sox is I want them to go get a proven closer. I don't want them to mess around. The goal is a championship, so don't screw around. All right, the number 5 target. This has been one of the players bantered about. It is Seiya Suzuki. I think Suzuki should be on their target list. The outfield situation, we looked at it. You can move some pieces around. Suzuki could play in the outfield, not cost anybody any real playing time. You move Kike to second. You move Arroyo to a utility role. Kike could be in a utility role. You have JBJ, kind of fill in. Maybe you have Durant start at AAA. Whatever you do, you can have a scenario where Suzuki fits on the club. If you don't go Schwarber, if you don't go Rizzo, then Seiya Suzuki would be a good piece. If they do get Schwarber, I think the Suzuki would be a long shot for Boston. I don't see them getting a Schwarber and a Suzuki kind of play. Again, these are just the targets. These are not my predictions on everybody that they're going to get. These are the needs. These are the targets that these teams should be pursuing to fill those needs. Jays fans, where you at? Let's go. Toronto Blue Jays next up. Let's dive into this. I promise this will not take 20 minutes. I swear. We're going to try to I'm trying to keep each team to 5 minutes. I think we spent a little bit longer on Boston than I would have liked. But we're going to try to get through Toronto at a good pace. 91-71 last year, 4th place, missed the playoffs by 1 freaking game. Marcus Semien spiked the ball late in the game. That would have changed their outcome. The walkathons, 2 of them, that would have changed their outcome. Blue Jays 4th place, missed the playoffs by 1 game, missed that playoff situation, because they wouldn't have been in the playoffs if everything played out the way they did. They would have been playing for a playoff spot. Barrios, Gausman, Ryu, Manoah, and Pearson is the current rotation. That could change. Pearson can move to the bullpen. We'll talk about that when we talk about the Jays targets. The closer is Jordan Romano. He is going to break out next year. He will certainly be a breakout candidate. He was really good last year, and I think he's going to get even better. He is going to be slept on by so many teams. If you rank the top 10 closers right now, you ask anybody to do it, they're going to keep Romano out of the top 10. I guarantee you he will be in everybody's top 10 at the end of next year. The lineup: Jansen, Kirk, and McGuire at catcher, Guerrero at first, Biggio for second, Bichette at short, Espinal at third. Obviously, that needs to improve. Gurriel, Grichuk, and Teoscar Hernandez for the outfield. And Springer, right now, I have as the DH, okay? The injury histories, that whole thing. The Blue Jays cannot enter into another scenario where Springer plays, 20 games before the All-Star break. He's got to be out there. They missed him greatly. All right, if they had Springer out there with the season Semien had, and Springer was there all year, the Blue Jays probably could win 100 games if Springer had been healthy. So Springer needs to be healthy. That's why I have Springer listed as the designated hitter in this scenario. I think Grichuk is a fine center fielder. I would actually take Grichuk over Springer at this point with all of Springer's lower body issues. Gurriel in left. We know the Gold Glove nominations there, and Teoscar is a more than adequate right fielder. So that is how I think that plays. It's disappointing to think about Springer, chained to the DH spot at this point. But if they do deal Grichuk or they deal Gurriel, Springer easily can move back into an outfield spot. How long he stays in center field is a good question. We can tackle that another time. So there's the team. Let's take a look at the needs. What do the Blue Jays need to do this offseason? Very first need that we are going to put, it's Kris Bryant. In my opinion, that is the number 1 need. They need a third baseman. He could play third. He can also play outfield. Montoyo and the Blue Jays absolutely love versatile players. This is one of those guys. Bryant could be third. Bryant could play any of the outfield positions. If you have an injury situation, let's say if they get Bryant, they are not trading for J-Ram or Chapman. Isn't going to happen, in my opinion. Okay, that's me. You might think differently, and it's okay if we disagree, but I don't think that they will do those trades. They get Bryant in for third base, and they can move into outfield if Springer does go on another injury run, or if any of the other 3, who for the most part have been healthy recently, right? Gurriel, Grichuk, and Teoscar, they've generally been a healthy group when you think about how Springer's been. So you have the situation. I think Bryant is the number 1 need, should be the number 1 target for the Toronto Blue Jays because of the versatility, because he can play third base. You have Cavan play second base. You give Cavan his job back. Espinal can then be the super utility player. we're good to go. You hold on to your prospects so that way when you got to pay Bo and Vladdy $400 million and $300 million in 5 years, you've got prospects to come up and join them at that point. You don't raid the system now. So you get wins all over the place. Next, who's the next target? If you're going to get Bryant, you can't go crazy and go get Carlos Rodon or trade for, any pitcher that's going to cost you another big payday like Barrios did. So go try to find a relatively affordable. This guy isn't going to be cheap, but it'll be relatively affordable mid to back end rotation guy, and we're going to go with Kikuchi. That has been talked about. I think he should remain a target for the Blue Jays. He fits nicely. He could be the 3, 4, or 5 in this rotation. He's not the 1 or the 2. They've got a 1 and 2. Go get a guy that can be your 4 or 5. And if it doesn't work out with Kikuchi, you move him to the bullpen and you got Pearson up there. But I like the idea of Kikuchi. Next up, let's go Seiya Suzuki. Again, this is not my run on who the Blue Jays are going to get. These are the targets. So if you have a world where Chris Bryant goes to the Yankees or the Mets or the Mariners or the Rockies, Suzuki needs to become a top priority. I would love Suzuki. There are moves that need to be made, right? That you gotta, if you get Suzuki, then you have to trade Grichuk. But you need to have a world where you can get Suzuki because of the dollar amount, because of the years, because of everything he brings. The Blue Jays have to make Suzuki a target. There are corresponding moves with that, again, because you can't have Suzuki and the 4 guys they got now. They got to make some moves. So I would like to see him as a target. Now, let's say all of it falls apart. Chris Bryant goes to Seattle, and Trevor Story goes to Houston, and the Blue Jays, don't get Freddie Freeman, which I think is most likely. They will not get him. I want to preface that. It's all going. It's everyone that they have on their wish list that's a free agent is going elsewhere. They have to make a trade. They have to make a trade. They have to be wise with this trade. But I think they could get it done. I know a lot of people disagree with me. It needs to be at least a target. This is not my prediction that it will get done necessarily. This is just a target. Jose Ramirez needs to be a target. The third base ability that he has, he can be the third baseman. He brings everything to the table. He is on a team-friendly contract for the next 2 years, so you got to give up. He's a top 10 player. He's on a team-friendly contract, so it's going to cost a lot. It's Gurriel, 2 top 5 prospects, another top 10 prospects, and Alejandro Kirk, right? It's Grichuk and that prospect load. It's Gurriel. I would take one of the, and if I give him Gurriel, I take one of those prospects out. I think that they could do it. They have talked about it. It's out there in enough places that they talked about it at the trade deadline. Now we're a few months beyond that. The Cleveland team has to start thinking about the fact that they're going to get the most for him now. If they wait until the season is over or until the trade deadline, because listen, they're not going to resign him, right? They made it clear about Lindor, so they're not going to be. They're most likely not going to be able to sign Ramirez. So get the most for him now. If you hold on to him through the deadline in the next offseason, you will get a similar return that you got for Francisco Lindor. Straight up. Some people will disagree with me on that, but remember, Francisco Lindor was amazing. Everyone remembers what Francisco Lindor did this past season. They're like, oh, he stinks. He was awful with the Mets. But he was never awful before. So I'm telling you, the time for Cleveland to make that trade is now. You will get a truckload of prospects. You will get major league talent as opposed to what Cleveland got. You got maybe a B guy. You got maybe another B guy, and you got some. It wasn't great. You can get a great return. Do it. It should be a target. It should at least be a target. And if they can't get Jose Ramirez, maybe a little bit of a cheaper trade chip would be Matt Chapman. He also needs to be a target. That is the piece that I think they need to think. If they can't get the J-Ram thing done, if it's just too much, if Cleveland wants 4 top 10 prospects plus Gurriel and Nate Pearson, then move on from that. Go to Matt Chapman. The asking price it's not going to be cheap to get Chapman either, but it won't be as much of a bounty that you have to give up that you would have to give Cleveland for Ramirez. So the Blue Jays needs, obviously we're talking third baseman, we're talking some more pop to replace Marcus Semien, and one more piece for the rotation. If you get that piece for the rotation, I know Jays fans are thinking, what about the bullpen? You got to get, we need more bullpen. Okay, well, here's what I will say to that. Number one, I think the bullpen's okay. But number two, if you get Kikuchi, then you move Nate Pearson to the bullpen. And your bullpen is fine at that point. All right, so if you get Kikuchi, or you get, maybe some, I don't know how many people like Pineda. I kind of do like Pineda a little bit. I think he's a frustrating pitcher to hit against, and he did that last year. So, you get Pineda. We're talking about the number 5 guy in the rotation here, right? Pineda or Kikuchi or Kim from the Cardinals. Something like that. Again, Kikuchi, just scratching the surface of the need for a back-end rotation guy. Let's get to the Yankees next. The team that where the Jays are chasing, that everyone's always gunning for, the New York Yankees. Last year, a frustrating season for the Yankees, 92-70. It was a wild card year. It was a wildly disappointing year. I think Yankee fans, listen, a 92-win season has never been looked down upon so much as it was last year for the Yankees. So they go 92-70. The rotation for next year looks like this: Cole, Severino, Tyone, Montgomery, and you better have Cortez in there because he was the best pitcher they had the second half of the year. He should have started the wild card game. Sorry, Garrett Cole. Your second half was trash. Cortez was amazing. He should have been the starter in the wild card game. Yankee fans that are watching this part, I know you feel me on that. You have to. Of course, Cole is your big money guy. You went and you got him for those games. But if you're going to roll the best pitcher out there, their best pitcher heading into it was Cortez. The closer is Aroldis Chapman, at least for one more year. He's entering the final year of his contract. The lineup, Sanchez or Higoshiaka. Listen, the Gary Sanchez thing is a mess. And what do they do with that it's a fascinating thought. Will they be able to address that this offseason is important. You got Voit at first with the current team, Torres at second, Urshela at short. LeMahieu is your third baseman. DJ LeMahieu's versatility has really come up big for the New York Yankees. The outfield of Gallo, Judge, and Hicks. Stanton is DH. I mentioned Estevan Florial here. Yeah, I have him as the DH, but really, Florial has to play next year. Whether he is DHing, whether he is in the outfield, wherever, let's see what they have with Estevan Florial. I think he fits in somewhere next year as the fourth outfielder, as Aaron Hicks's understudy for when Hicks inevitably gets hurt. Florial, we want Florial to play. So who are the targets for this Yankee squad? Who are the 5 that they need to be pursuing? This is going to be a big list, guys. This is the New York Yankees. They've got one of the highest, they're going to have one of the highest payrolls. They have the highest expectations. It's not just a championship. It's a sweep of the World Series is the goal for Yankees every year. Let's start with Freddie Freeman. How do we get a sweep in the World Series? Well, you go get Freddie Freeman. That needs to be a serious goal for the Yankees. It is the lefty bat. It is the pop. It is the postseason experience. They need guys, certainly, that can hit home runs, but they also need guys that do the other things. Doubles and singles and just getting on base. And Freddie Freeman does a good job of all that, and he's got the power. So they have to go and have Freddie Freeman at the top of their target list. Next up, if you're going to get a shortstop, an infielder, I don't think you necessarily need one. But again, if your goal is to sweep the World Series every year like it is for the Yankees, go through the playoffs undefeated, you need Trevor Story. I'm joking, obviously, guys. I'm joking. But obviously the goal is to win the World Series. But I'm kind of kidding, tongue-in-cheek about going through the postseason undefeated. Story is got to be the goal, not Correa. Correa will upset a significant portion of the fan base. Trevor Story will make nobody upset. Everybody will be happy about a Trevor Story addition. The only drawback is he strikes out, right? Okay, he doesn't strike out to the point where his batting average dips to Joey Gallo levels, but he does strike out. But he's got power, he's got speed, he's a better defender. You could have him be your shortstop. He could play in a couple different spots. Teams talking about putting him in the outfield, putting him at third base. So Trevor Story should be a target. You have Peraza. I know you got Volpe another year away, so you do have some young players that could be your shortstops, but they are unproven. You don't know Eventually, LeMahieu's going to be gone. Eventually, maybe you move on from Urshela and you give Peraza. Listen, you can find a way to make it work, but if you're going to go and try to make an impact, if you don't get Freddie Freeman, again, this is not that they're going to get these players. I want to keep referencing this for people who are just coming in live now or have jumped to the Yankee portion. These are not the players I think they're going to go and get. These are the players they need to be targeting. If they don't get Freddie Freeman, they should have Trevor Story on that list. Let's keep moving down the dominoes here. If they don't get either of those two, then I think they need to be serious about bringing Anthony Rizzo back. We had Anthony Rizzo as a target for the Red Sox. It needs to be a target for the Yankees. We're talking lefty pop here, ability to get on base, get hits, get doubles, get on base for the guys behind you. Anthony Rizzo can do that. Is he a 35, 40 homer guy anymore? Not so much, but they don't really need that. They need a guy that can get singles, get doubles, get on base for the 40 homer guys. They need the lefty bat in there, so I like Rizzo. Now, if it all else fails, if they lose out on all three of those, then it is time to make the trade and go get Matt Olson. That is the next piece. That is what has to happen if they don't get Freeman. If Story goes to Seattle, if Rizzo goes to Boston, go get Matt Olson. Don't screw around with this. Go get Matt Olson. That is the play. You've got the prospects. Send Gleyber Torres, send Luis Gil, and send another prospect deeper down. Go get the deal done, all right? Make that trade happen, Yankees. If you miss out on Freeman and Rizzo and Story and any of those other big ones, I love the idea of Matt Olson as a target for the Yankees. Now, let's say they are able to make a big splash. They figure they make the Matt Olson trade, or they don't make the Matt Olson trade. This could be a standalone. This does not have to go hand in hand with any of those other moves. It's just another target. It is Seiya Suzuki again. And the reason why it's Suzuki is because of the dollar amount on the contract. Suzuki is looking, what we heard at first, now this could grow another year or two, the dollars could grow, but 5 for 55. If you're seriously talking about a player with his potential to be at about a 10-year AAV, you plug him in, he's on your team day one. You're not sending him down to the minors for developing or seasoning. He's ready to go. He should be able to hit. Maybe there's a transition period for a couple months. I know the list of the players that are coming over from Japan or Korea or overseas that have really succeeded, really hit well. It's a short list. There's like 3 or 4 guys on there. But this is a different kind of caliber player, and I am a believer in Suzuki. So the Yankees, because of the dollar amount, they're staring at a situation where they could have 3 $30 million a year players. 3 of them. All right? You got Stanton, you got Cole, both of them there now, and Judge is a free agent at the end of next year. They need to bring Judge back, so they need to be thinking about where can we spend and not break the bank. And Suzuki is a piece that could get that done. So we go through all the teams. Again, anybody that is just getting in here now, from when we started, we have a lot of viewers here from when we started, so we will go through the needs and recap the needs real quick. For the Orioles, it was Luke Maile, Jake Arrieta, Brandon Drury, Colin Moran, and Archie Bradley. Basically, Maile, Arrieta, and Drury get you through the year. Moran and Bradley, pieces like that are your pieces that you're going to go and hopefully get some trade value at the deadline. Next up, the Rays, their targets. We have Nelson Cruz. We have Jock Peterson, Willie Peralta, Trevor Rosenthal, and Steve Shisek. The 1 or 2 year deal guys, not going to cost a lot of money. Cruz or Peterson for the pop. Peralta, the versatility to go between the rotation and the bullpen. Rosenthal, the Rays are one of the teams that could take a chance on Rosenthal. He could be the closer, and if it doesn't work out, they have a ton of other options. They're so deep at bullpen, it would just be the rich getting richer if he hits. And Shisek, because that delivery out of that bullpen, just the way it's like playing MLB The Show when the guy brings in Darren O'Day or Shisek or whoever else. You just kind of really that's where we're going to go now. Everything else you got, this is what we're going to do, and that's what the Rays would be looking at. The Red Sox targets, we had Schwarber, we had Rizzo, again, the lefty bat, the first baseman bat. Schwarber a little bit more versatile, could play a couple spots. the bullpen, whether it's the trade for Kimbrel, signing Kenley Jansen, those are the targets that they should have, or maybe they go again in a more economical route, but I don't think they want to go into a let's try it with this guy mode for closer, because if they do that, they just stick with Barnes. And then Suzuki as a target for the Red Sox. For the Blue Jays, the targets we had, Bryant, Kikuchi, those two could go hand in hand. If they don't get Bryant, you go Suzuki. And if you lose out on all of those, at least the first two hitters, then you get into a situation where you need to make the trade, either for J-Ram or Matt Chapman. Basically, the Blue Jays here, they have to replace the Marcus Semien production. They could use a back-end rotation guy, a 4 or 5. Now, Kikuchi could pitch up to a 2 or a 3, so I'm not saying Kikuchi's bad, but what I'm saying is the way the rotation looks for the Blue Jays right now, it's set at the top 3. 4 and 5, you think Manoah's going to get 4, but it's set at the top 3. Kikuchi could go in there and be the 4 or the 5. I want Kikuchi. I think Kikuchi's a 5 in this rotation. In other rotations, he's a 3. That just shows you how deep the Blue Jays rotation is. And then the Yankees, again, we had Freeman, we had Story, we had Rizzo, we had Olsen, and we had Suzuki as the targets there for the Yankees, who they need. Again, remember, everybody, these are not the players that I think the teams are going to get. I keep repeating that because I don't want anybody that's just finding us at this point in the video to be like, what? He thinks the Yankees are going to get Freeman, Story, Rizzo, Olsen, and Suzuki? This is the worst channel on YouTube. It needs to be deleted. These are the needs. These are the players that I think that they should go and snag. So there is our breakdown. There are the teams for the American League East. I appreciate everybody that has come in. We have a much higher live volume than I really anticipated for this, so I appreciate everybody that's here. I think school's out, right? This is a terribly unproductive week for work. So if you're at work and you're bored and you don't want to be at work because other people are out, Christmas shopping or doing whatever they're doing, I appreciate everybody that has come in here and is spending some time with the channel. Real quick, let me tell you guys about FanDuel, and then I'm going to tell you about the Christmas giveaway. I'm going to tell you more about the Christmas giveaway that we are doing on Thursday. So hang with me for a couple minutes because we got to talk about that. FanDuel, again, sponsor of the channel. Love FanDuel. Fantasy football, if you play fantasy football and your regular season is done, if you lost your first playoff round, you don't have to stop with fantasy football. You can drop into FanDuel. In the link in the description below is a link for any new users to hop in. Use that link. Start up with FanDuel. FanDuel will match 20% up to $500 of your first deposit. And this week being a holiday week, if you deposit $25, you can get a free entry for an NBA and NFL on Christmas contest. And they're doing 7 days of gifts, 7 days of free contests on NBA and NFL for everybody, whether you have an account or not. That is going on from the 21st to the 27th. I like FanDuel because, again, I can keep playing. All my fantasy teams busted out this year, so I can keep playing. And I also enjoy the fact that I get the money right back the next day, right? You win and you have your money. You don't have to wait for the season to end. And if you are in the fantasy playoffs with your season-long team, roll some of those guys into a lineup and try to make some more. So that is FanDuel. Again, use the link below to sign up if you have not signed up, and you start playing FanDuel today. Thank you, everybody. And again, thank you, FanDuel, for being a sponsor. No problem. Anybody that might be getting in late, I see some folks. What's up, everybody? I appreciate everybody that has been here live. For everybody watching the replay, this is where we are going to leave you. For those of you that are live, stay with me. Wait, real quick before we leave. Again, I want to let you know, Thursday at 11, we're going to be doing the live stream again. We're going to be doing the AL West Outlook. We're going to do the Central tomorrow, but on Thursday, we're going to do the West, and we're going to do the giveaways. A giveaway every 5 minutes. All right, over this shoulder, you got the Topps, the Topps baseball cards that we're going to be giving away from the Topps Project. It's a Jeter, it's a Griffey. The Griffey's got a shine on it, and the Kershaw. And over this, by this elbow, we got 3 autographed baseballs. We got Frank Thomas, we got David Justice for Braves fans. We got who was it? Lloyd Mosby. Lloyd Mosby is one of my favorite Blue Jays of all time. I have his autograph. We're going to give those away. We're also going to give money away. 2 $25 giveaways, 2 $50 giveaways on Thursday only for subscribers. So you have to be a subscriber. If you're just finding the channel for the first time, subscribe, because you can get that just for showing up on Thursday. So make sure to subscribe, and because here's what we're going to do. On Thursday, it is going to be a subscriber-only chat, because that's how we're going to do the giveaways. Basically, I'm going to have a countdown going. Once the countdown hits 0, we stop the content, we do the giveaway, and I'm going to give you guys a minute to get your name in the chat, but I'm going to just scroll through the chat. I'm going to close the eyes. I'm going to pick somebody from the chat, and that's how we're going to do the giveaways. So make sure you're here on Thursday for that. Again, every 5 minutes from the start of the stream for at least the 50-minute mark, we'll be giving that away. So make sure you are there for that. Everybody that's watching the replay, again, if you're live, hang tight. Everybody that is watching the replay, thank you. I truly appreciate you. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like. Subscribe. If you're into baseball, it's a great place for you. Hit that like if you want baseball back. If you're still, despite the lockout, looking forward to the 2022 season, hit that like. Ballcap Nation, I truly appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time with the channel. I will add some links to some of the other off-season content that I have put together here for you to check out now. And thank you for watching the video.